Hey, Bill Shaka here. Welcome to another edition of the 5-Minute Motivator. Welcome to Tamarindo, Costa Rica. Ladies and gentlemen, standard disclaimer. The 5-Minute Motivators are one-take wonders. There's not a lot of post-production that goes into this except for some text and maybe some pictures. I bring that up because we have some maintenance work being done on the swimming pool right behind that outgrove of trees there. There are maintenance people on top of the roof removing some of the shingles. So you may be hearing some banging and booming, etc. But that's kind of life in Costa Rica. Anyway, today I would like to talk about the ripple effect. I'm going to take you back into some ancient history. 1970. By now it is ancient history. It was such a great time for music back then. People were coming out with albums that were just fantastic. Yes, was coming out with some great stuff. Black Sabbath's first couple albums were really rocking. And a new group called Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which really was keyboard based. For a short period of time, we called the genre classical rock. Not classic rock, classical rock. And on Emerson, Lake and Palmer's first album, they released a song called Just Take a Pebble. Now, I'm going to see if I can get the non-copyrighted words to include in this video. The album cover should have been up by now. And I'd like you to think about that notion of the ripple effect. Now, as I said, when you read the words to the song, you'll actually hear what we're talking about here. But the ripple effect makes perfect sense. If you take a pebble, just take a pebble and cast it to the sea, that's the first line of the song, and you notice that there's a ripple that occurs. And that ripple goes outward for quite some time. As a matter of fact, in the swimming pool here, I noticed that before they turn the pumps on, if I cast even a little seed into the water, the ripple will go to the other side of the pool and come back. Okay, so that's the physics of what happens when something is plunged into water. What's the psychology of that? I'd like you to think about the pebble or the seed that's going into the water as a thought. I'd like you to consider that a thought. And I'd like you to consider the pool or the sea your environment. And each thought that you put into your environment, each pebble that you put into the sea, you are creating this rippling effect. And eventually the ripple will hit the end and will come back. But I'd like you to think about this. What would happen if I take a handful of seeds or a handful of pebbles and throw that into the pool? Well, the end result is a whole bunch of different ripples that are starting to compete with each other. Sometimes you might get a bigger wave when two ripples collide and are moving in the same direction. Sometimes they'll negate each other if they hit each other head on, and the waves will disappear. Isn't that exactly the way our thought process works? Isn't it exactly how it works? We have to be careful with what we think about, because it's not just the thought that will have an effect on the rest of our day, on the rest of our life maybe, but it's the ripple effect. And consequently, what we need to do is to make sure that the thoughts that we have, that the ripples that we cast into our environment are positive and are on purpose. And the more that we do that, the more that we live a life on purpose through positive optimism, the more we are going to get back. The ripples are just a way for us to put into our mind the thoughts that make sense for us to think about on a consistent daily basis. Thus, there's not a lot of actionable steps in this particular 5-minute motivator, except for the fact that you have control over the seeds, the pebbles that you cast into your ocean of your environment. Make sure they're positive. Make sure they work for you. Make sure they're going to move you forward. Bill Shaka, thanking you for attending another edition of the 5-Minute Motivator. Looking forward to seeing you in the next. Bye.